Hello students, in today's session we will discuss how to design the top chord, bottom chord and inclined and vertical members of your trusses. So far we have discussed that there are total 4 types of forces acts across our structure. First is the live load, dead load, wind forces and earthquake forces, but the earthquake forces we have not discussed. We have discussed only first 3 forces. Okay, in the advanced structural design you will come across the earthquake forces. So with these forces we have analyzed our truss. What do you mean by analysis? In the analysis we have understood that each member carries some force or certain amount or magnitude of force. That force has to be taken care of while designing the member, right? If my member is said to be carrying negative 20 kilonewton load, what it means? It means that my member has to be designed for this 20 kilonewton load. But what does that negative sign indicates here? That tell us the negative sign here we consider as compressive forces. It means that if member is said to be carrying negative 20 kilonewton or 200 kilonewton or whatever value you come across, but if it is coming with negative sign, then you have to focus upon it and you have to take it as a compressive forces. Okay, then second thing is how do you design the member. So members are further classified into 4 category. Why 4 category? Because see, the member can be a top chord member, bottom chord member. It can be placed vertically or in inclined direction, right? So the member, on the basis of nature of force, we have divided it into 2 types. First is the compressive forces and second one is the tensile forces. But as well as we have while designing, irrespective of its nature of force and what type of force magnitude it carrying, irrespective of that, we are decided 4 types or 4 classifications ahead. Those classifications are top chord member, bottom chord member, vertical and inclined members. So why we are designing members in that fashion? See here in the background you must have seen there is a table and I have wrote here the top chord members, bottom chord members and vertical members, inclined members. But why we are designing them so see, we have truss like this, and in this truss you have variety of members connected with each other. Why I said variety of members? Because they are not same. They carry their own type of magnitude or they carry their own nature. They can be in compressive members or they can be in a tension. You have to understand that. You have to analyze that first. But once you got the idea what type of this member forces are they compressive and or they tensile, once you got that idea, next is top chord, bottom chord and inclined vertical members. How? See, if I choose to design this horizontal member here, then I will say this member has to be designed as a bottom member. This member is to be designed as a bottom member. Okay, why bottom member? And every member in its direction, this second member, third member, fourth member, fifth and sixth, this 1 2 3 4 5 6, okay, this all 6 members are considered as the bottom chord member. What we have considered them? We have considered them bottom chord member and we are gonna design them as a bottom chord member. Of course you can simply by its name you can understand that all the bottom chord members comes in a linear direction. They are linear, and next is they are the bottommost member of your truss. They are the bottommost member of your truss or roof truss. Okay, so that's why simply by its name we can understand that they are the bottom members. We have separated them from its vertical and inclined member as well as top chord member. Now what is top chord member? These top chord members are mentioned like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Again you have 6 top chord members and you are supposed to design them separately. Or what's the difference between them? Why the top chord members are separated from bottom chord members, and why they are inclined and vertical members? Separate classification for that. We will understand that step by step, but right now you must understand that which member is to be designed as a top chord member and which one as a bottom chord member. I hope you have understood. So all the members in this vertically, I can't say vertical, in this inclined direction, which are at the topmost position of your truss, they are called as a top members. They are designed separately. All the members in the bottom direction of the truss linear, they are said to be a bottom chord member, bottommost part of your truss, and they are designed separately. Then what are the third and fourth category? They are third and fourth category. Okay, so in the third category, what you are supposed to do? You are supposed to separate these two members. Vertical members, all the vertical members you are supposed to design separately. All the vertical members, okay, and all the inclined members. All the inclined members comes in the next category. So how many forces how many types of members you are supposed to design here? One top chord member, one bottom chord member, one vertical member, and one inclined member. How many members you are supposed to design? One top chord, bottom chord, vertical, inclined, right? Now the question is, if I'm designing this top chord, bottom chord, vertical and inclined member, why am I saying the one only? Because in the diagram you must have understood or must have observed that there are many members acting together, right? There are many many vertical members, many top chord members, and many roof members, or we called it top members. Top chord members are acting. There we have counted them, and we got the 6 bottom chord members, 6 top chord members, and so are vertical and inclined. Then why only one member? For that you have to go for this table. Okay, so let me take this on this side. Yeah. Now if I am saying I am designing only one member, I have to justify the statement why we are designing only one member if there are so many in the trusses. See here, if I draw truss again like this, okay, in this truss you have vertical members and you have an inclined members, right? And now I'm saying I'm designing only one member, either in the vertical direction, in the bottom direction, or in the inclined direction. Only one member, single member I'm designing. Why? Because analysis gave us different values in the different members. If I analyzed for dead load acting at the panel points like this, and if I analyzed, I get different forces in each member. This member carry different force, this member carry different force, this again, every member carry different force. Then which am I supposed to design every member? That's how your thinking must be. No, you are supposed to only one member, and that member which you have designed, the section you have choose for the designing purpose, you repeat that section in every member of the vertical direction, or every member in the bottom direction. If you design one bottom member, whatever section you have chosen and whatever section satisfied the conditions, that section is repeated for every other bottom members. How? See here. Let's suppose L0 L1. L0 L1 will be the force in this L0, and here will be a L1. Okay, L0 L1. Now in this, let me draw it again. I'll draw it below. Okay. So this is your truss. Let's suppose name it like L0, L1, L2, L3, and here U1, U2. Okay. So in this member, if I am saying I am designing L0 and L0 L1 member, so this is your L0 L1 member, right? And this in this member, if I am designing it, why I have choose that member first of all. That is bottom chord member. You can classify this member as bottom chord member. Okay, you can classify it as a bottom chord member. First thing is clear. Now, is it compression member or tensile member? That is next question. Is it carrying compression or tension? So we can look at the load combinations. There are many bottom members. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 more bottom members and we have only selected L0, L1 from here. Why so? Why L1? Why L0, L1 I have selected? Is it carrying compression or tension? How to get that analysis? How to get the idea about it? How we will understand that? For that, we have to understand first the table shown above. What does that table tell us? See now, this table tells us about the loadings and load combination. In the last session, in the last video, I have told you that in the next class I will teach you load combinations, right? So let's understand here. Now first, to understand the forces in the member and to the nature of that force, we must go through load combinations. We must understand first load combinations. How we will do that? For that, check this table. So in this table, you can see there are total 3 plus 3, 6, 7 tables are there, or 7 columns are there. Those columns are, first column telling us about member. Now what member it is? It is a member of your truss. As I shown before, there was a diagram and I have named the joints, and L0, L1 is the first bottom chord member. Okay. Now this L0, L1 carries a dead load of how much value? Negative 35. How we did that? We have done analysis of the force by applying dead loads on panel point. When we did that in the previous sessions, with the help of joint method, I made you understand that if the dead load is acted upon the panel point, or you impose the dead load on your structure, and if you apply the joint method of analysis, you will get the forces in each member of your truss. How we did that? This is your truss. This is, let's suppose, first joint L0. Then at this joint, you have to cut the all members acting at or coming towards that joint. Separate it from its whole truss. Okay, separate it first, and after that you have to understand what forces is going, what forces are in this member. This forces can be calculated by using joint method, right? We did that, we understood that. Okay, while on the panel point, whatever force acting is dead load. Similarly, you have repeat the procedure for live load and wind load. Repeat the procedure and find out the forces in each member of your truss. So from there, I got to know the dead load in my L0, L1 member is equals to negative 35. Now what does negative sign tell us over here? Of course, in the beginning of my lecture, I told you that negative sign says compression. I have assumed that if my sign comes negative, the force which I earlier assumed, my assumption was every force is in tension, every member is in tension. But now what am I assuming? I am saying that the negative signs proved me wrong. My assumption is wrong, and member saying us that I am a compressive force. I am carrying compressive force, and that's why negative sign is there. So L1 L0 L1 member carries a negative force of negative 35, negative force 35 magnitude, which is due to dead load. From the live load, if I repeat the analysis, from the live load, again I got the negative value, which is minus 38.5. That is due to analysis after imposing the live load on the structure. In the third column, I can see positive value, wind load. Okay, the positive value came when I analyzed my truss for the wind load forces, for the wind load, and this value gives me magnitude. How much magnitude is 57.88 will be the force due to what? Wind load acting upon the structure. Okay. Now, what am I supposed to do with these forces? I have to do load combinations. What does load combination means? Load combination means at particular point and the particular area or on the particular surface of my structure, there are many forces acting upon it, or many forces experienced by that member. But those forces you are supposed to analyze separately, but while designing you have to club them all and design one member suitable for all the loading combinations coming upon it. What I said, for analysis you can separately analyze for live load, dead load, wind load, you can do it separately, right? But if I am saying my forces, my analysis saying me there is a force due to live load is negative 35, negative 38, force due to dead load is negative 35, and force due to wind load is 57, then I am not going to design separately for it, because there is only one member. I cannot place this member is for live load, this for dead load, and this is for wind load. At one section you can't place three sections, right? For one joint you can not place three sections. It is not how we design. What we will do, I will choose a load combination there, and then I will select what? The member which is suitable for all of the forces. This loading, for this loading particularly. Okay. Now see here, I made first combination like this. 1.5 into dead load plus live load. 1.5 is what? Load factor. Where you will get that? You will get that into IS 875 edition 2007. Open your IS code, go to the loading combination section, and you will get there a table telling us about load factors. How much load factor you should take when you are adding dead load with live load. How much load factor you should select when you are adding dead load with wind load. And how much load factor you must select when you are adding 3 of the force at a time. I hope you understood this. So we got to know what is dead load plus live load into 1.5 is. From there, with the calculator, I come to know this combination giving me magnitude again of negative sign, and magnitude is 110.25. 110.25. But what does negative sign again tell us? The force combination giving me compressive nature of a force, telling me that this 110.25 kilonewton force is in compressive nature, is of compressive nature. Next is dead load plus wind load. Now in this next combination, dead load plus wind load giving me magnitude of what? 34.32 kilonewton. Okay, but this time it is giving me positive value, right? And positive value tell us that this force is tensile nature, is of tensile nature. Okay, so here I got combination, compression, here I got tensile force. In the next, if I add 3 of the forces at the time, if you are adding that, you must focus over here the load factor change. Load factor becomes reduce down to the 1.2. From 1.5 you reduced your load factor to 1.2, and now you are adding 3 of the forces. Now why the load factor is reduced? Load factor is reduced because you are adding 3 different type of forces at the same time, and why we multiply our force with the force factor or load factor? Because we go for the condition in the limit state method where the said as characteristic load should be taken in the increasive manner, because if I said 5 people living in the home, there can be a time when guest come into your house, and there can be a 5 people increase to the can be increased to the 20 people, right? And that extra loading has to be taken by structure, right? And that's why whenever the structure is said to be carry certain 50 kilonewton load or 100 kilonewton load, you should suppose or you should assume or increase that load while designing. Take that this 100 kilonewton, multiply it with the load factor, and take the raised value, take that higher value similarly. But now when you are adding 3 values, it is already a high force, there can not be, or there will be a least chances that load can increase beyond it. What I am saying, in this case, the dead load, live load and wind load, when you when added together at the same time, then there will be a least chances that this force can be the forces can go beyond this, right? And that's why the load factor is reduced. You can take the little increased value. Okay, that's it. So this is how we made load combinations and we calculated the values for it. Now question comes that for which value I am designing my structure. Am I designing for dead load plus live load, or am I going for dead load plus wind load, or the last one? Which one I will select? So see here, you are supposed to design this member for highest loading. You are supposed to design member for highest loading. What does it mean? Only check the magnitude. Do not check the sign. Check the magnitude. And here, out of these 3 columns, I understood that 110.25 is the highest value. Forget about the signs, because a sign is just telling us that force is compressive in nature or tensile in nature. But which force it is, that doesn't matter. How much force is coming? Force is coming in 110.25 kilonewtons. So this is the highest force, and chances of getting break or chances of failure is due to this highest loading, is because of this highest loading, and that's why I will choose the magnitude first. Okay, I understood 110 is the highest force by magnitude. Then I will check its sign. Now check the sign. Sign telling me in that circle you can see the sign is negative. If the sign is negative, you have to design your L0 L1 member for compressive force of a magnitude 110.25, and consequently you have to check your member for tensile force as well, because there is some magnitude with of a tensile forces coming upon my section. So I will design my section for highest magnitude, and I will check my section for the secondary forces. If the conditions satisfy, I will select that section for designing. That is the way I am following my design. Okay. So in the next class, we will discuss how to arrange the all forces you have calculated, or how you analyzed in your analysis process or in the previous phase. You have analyzed your truss for wind load, dead load and live load. And if you have come across a number of forces, okay, and how to arrange those forces and how to get them into the table, and which force to select for designing, that I am teaching in the next class. Thank you so much.